We live in a paradoxical age. We possess technology that connects us with billions across the globe, yet we often feel more isolated than ever before. We have access to boundless information, yet we struggle to find true meaning and purpose. We are surrounded by entertainment and distractions, yet we frequently feel empty and dissatisfied. We chase fleeting pleasures, fear inevitable losses, and strive to find lasting peace amidst the hustle and bustle of modern life. We are tossed about on a sea of information and demands, frequently overwhelmed by our own internal storms: anxiety, fear, and self-doubt. Amidst this chaos, we ask ourselves, how can we navigate this turbulent life with greater clarity, resilience, and inner strength? How can we find an anchor in the midst of the storm? How can we truly become human? These questions are not new. Throughout history, humanity has grappled with these fundamental questions of existence. From this struggle emerged a philosophy that offers profound insights into the nature of control, the power of reason, and the pursuit of a meaningful life: Stoicism. Stoicism is not merely a collection of dusty ancient ideas. It is a practical framework for living a better life, a guide for finding tranquility amidst chaos. It is an invitation to embrace virtue, face adversity with courage, and discover inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. This philosophy was born in ancient Greece and flourished in Rome, offering wisdom that is as relevant to us today as it was to those living centuries ago. From philosophers like Zeno of Citium, Epictetus, and Seneca, to the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism has shaped the thoughts and actions of many great figures throughout history. In this video, we will delve into the core principles of Stoicism and explore how these principles can help us to understand the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot, develop a more objective and rational perspective, live in accordance with nature and our own human nature, embrace fate and find meaning even in hardship, pursue virtue as the sole true good, face adversity with composure and resilience, appreciate the value of community and human connection, live fully in the present moment. We will see how this ancient wisdom can be applied to our modern lives, helping us to overcome daily challenges and find lasting inner peace. Let us begin this journey together and learn how to become more human. Chapter 1: The Nature of Control. One of the most fundamental teachings of Stoicism is a clear understanding of what we can control and what we cannot. This dichotomy, which separates the realm of our influence from everything beyond it, is the bedrock of the entire philosophy. It's not merely an intellectual distinction. It's a practical tool we can use to navigate life's complexities with greater composure and effectiveness. On one hand, we have complete control over our own thoughts and actions. This includes our judgments, the choices we make, our reactions to events, and the character we develop. In short, we have control over our internal world. We can choose how we respond to whatever happens to us. We can train our minds to see difficulties as opportunities for growth, and we can cultivate virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. On the other hand, there are many things in the world that are beyond our direct control. This includes external events like the weather, the actions of others, our health, our wealth, our reputation, and ultimately, even life itself. We cannot stop the rain, change other people's opinions, or prevent illness. Trying to control these things will only lead to frustration, anxiety, and unnecessary suffering. Epictetus, in his Enchiridion, succinctly summarizes this distinction. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever one are our own actions. Not within our power are our body, property, reputation, offices, and in a word, whatever are not our own actions. It's important to understand that this does not mean we should be passive towards the world. We can still take action and strive to influence external circumstances. However, we must do so with a full awareness of the limits of our control. We can strive to improve our health, for example, but we cannot guarantee perfect health. We can work towards achieving our goals, but we must accept that the outcome may not always be as we expect. The key to this teaching is to focus our energy and attention on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions. By doing this, we free ourselves from an endless cycle of worry and frustration. We learn to accept what we cannot change, and we find strength and peace in our ability to choose how we respond. This is a profound shift in perspective. Instead of seeing ourselves as victims of external circumstances, we become active agents in our own lives. We take responsibility for our thoughts and actions, and we find freedom in our ability to choose how we will live our lives, regardless of what happens around us. Practical example. Imagine you are stuck in heavy traffic and you are late for an important meeting. You might feel frustrated, angry, or anxious. However, in this situation, you cannot control the traffic. You can only control your response to the situation. You can choose to remain calm, listen to music, or call ahead to let the people you are meeting know that you will be late. By focusing on what you can control, you can reduce your stress and maintain your inner peace. Chapter 2: The Power of Perception. Having understood the dichotomy of control, the next step in Stoicism is recognizing the power of perception. Stoicism teaches that it is not external events themselves that cause our suffering, but rather our judgments about those events. In other words, how we perceive an event is more important than the event itself. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any one moment." This quote encapsulates the core of this teaching. We have the power to change how we see the world, and by changing our perceptions, we can change our emotional responses. Imagine two people facing the same situation. They both receive constructive criticism from their boss. One person might feel devastated, feeling belittled and doubting their abilities. The other person might see the criticism as an opportunity to learn and grow, and become motivated to improve. The difference in their reactions is not caused by the criticism itself, but by their interpretation of it. Stoicism encourages us to examine our judgments closely. We tend to make assumptions, exaggerate the negative, and overlook the positive. We need to learn to separate objective facts from our subjective interpretations. Is the situation as bad as we imagine it to be? Are we overreacting? By training our minds to see situations more objectively and rationally, we can lessen the power of negative emotions like anger, fear, and sadness. One way to do this is by asking ourselves some key questions. What are the objective facts of this situation? Separate the facts from your interpretations. Is there another way to look at this situation? Try to see it from a different perspective. Am I exaggerating the negative? Are there any positive aspects that I am overlooking? Is my reaction proportionate to the situation? Am I overreacting? By practicing asking ourselves these questions, we can develop a more balanced and rational perspective. We can learn to see difficulties as challenges, setbacks as lessons, and even suffering as an opportunity to build mental resilience. Seneca, in his Letters from a Stoic, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This emphasizes how our minds can create unnecessary suffering by focusing on worst-case scenarios or dwelling on the past. By focusing on the present moment and training our minds to see situations more objectively, we can reduce this suffering. The power of perception is also closely linked to the concept of premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. This doesn't mean dwelling on bad things that might happen, but rather imagining potential future challenges and difficulties to prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally. By preparing ourselves for the worst, we can lessen its impact when it actually occurs. Practical example. Imagine you are worried about a presentation you have to give at work. Instead of letting the worry consume you, you can use the power of perception to shift your perspective. You can imagine the worst-case scenario, for example. You forget your material, the audience is disengaged, and then plan how you would handle those situations. By doing this, you reduce your anxiety and feel more prepared. Chapter 3: Living in Accordance with Nature. A central concept in Stoicism is living in accordance with nature. This doesn't simply mean spending time outdoors, although that can be beneficial. In the context of Stoicism, nature has two important meanings: the universe as a whole and human nature itself. Cosmic nature. Stoicism teaches that the universe is governed by rational and orderly laws of cause and effect. There's a kind of cosmic order or logos that underlies everything. Accepting this reality means accepting that everything happens for a reason and that we are part of something larger than ourselves. This doesn't mean passively resigning ourselves to fate, but rather understanding that we live in a complex and interconnected system, and that we should strive to understand and work in harmony with that system. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of understanding and accepting the order of the universe. He emphasized that we should see everything that happens as part of a larger natural process and accept our role within it. This helps us to reduce the anxiety and frustration that arise from wanting to control things that are beyond our control. Human nature. In addition to the universe, Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of living in accordance with our own human nature. Stoics believe that humans are inherently rational and social beings. Therefore, living in accordance with our nature means developing our reason and contributing to the well-being of society. This means pursuing virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Virtue is considered the sole true good in Stoicism, and pursuing virtue is the way to achieve eudaimonia, which is often translated as happiness or flourishing. However, in the context of Stoicism, eudaimonia refers more to a state of inner tranquility and peace that comes from living in accordance with virtue, rather than simply a fleeting feeling of pleasure. Living in accordance with human nature also means recognizing and accepting our nature as social beings. We are connected to each other, and our well-being is intertwined. Therefore, we have a moral obligation to treat others with fairness and compassion, and to contribute to the common good. Practical implications. Accepting what is, accepting that everything happens for a reason, and that we are part of a larger order, can help us to reduce stress and anxiety. Developing reason. Training our minds to think clearly and rationally is key to living in accordance with our human nature. Practicing virtue. Pursuing virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance is the way to achieve eudaimonia. Contributing to society. Recognizing and accepting our nature as social beings means treating others well and contributing to the common good. Understanding natural cycles. Observing and reflecting on natural cycles, for example, the changing seasons, day and night, can help us to understand the order of the universe and accept change as part of life. Practical example. Imagine you experience a setback at work. Instead of feeling angry or frustrated, you can try to view the situation from a broader perspective. You can reflect that setbacks are a part of life and that you can learn from them. You can also consider how your actions might affect others at work and strive to act in a fair and responsible manner. Chapter 4: The Importance of Virtue. In Stoic philosophy, virtue holds a central role. Stoics believe that virtue is the only true good and the source of true happiness, eudaimonia. It is not wealth, health, reputation, or pleasure that makes our lives meaningful, but rather our moral character. The four cardinal virtues of Stoicism are: wisdom. Wisdom is the ability to see things clearly and objectively, to distinguish between good and bad, and to make sound decisions based on reason. It involves an understanding of natural law and how the world works, as well as the ability to apply this knowledge in our daily lives. Wisdom gives us the ability to assess situations accurately and act judiciously. Justice. Justice concerns treating others fairly and respectfully and contributing to the common good. This includes honesty, integrity, and a sense of social responsibility. Justice encourages us to act in the best interests of others and to uphold truth and fairness in all that we do. It's not just about legal actions, but also about how we interact with others in our everyday lives. Courage is not just about physical bravery, but also about moral courage. It involves facing challenges and difficulties with fortitude and adhering to our principles even in the face of adversity. Courage gives us the strength to do what is right, even when it is difficult or risky. This includes the courage to admit our mistakes, apologize, and change our behavior. Temperance relates to self-control, moderation, and balance in all things. This means avoiding extremes and living in a simple and restrained manner. Temperance helps us to avoid temptations and desires that can lead to suffering and regret. It is also about appreciating what we have and not constantly seeking more. Stoics believe that the virtues are interconnected and interdependent. One cannot be truly wise without also being just, courageous, and temperate. Similarly, one cannot be truly just without being wise, courageous, and temperate. These four virtues work together to form a strong and resilient moral character. Why is virtue important? Source of true happiness. Stoics believe that virtue is the only source of true and lasting happiness. Happiness derived from external things is temporary and unreliable. Control over oneself. By developing virtue, we gain control over our own thoughts and actions. We are no longer enslaved by negative emotions or fleeting desires. A meaningful life, a life based on virtue, is a meaningful and fulfilling life. We feel satisfied because we are living in accordance with our values and contributing to something larger than ourselves. Mental resilience. Virtue gives us the strength and resilience to face challenges and difficulties in life. When we face hardship with virtue, we can navigate through it with greater composure and wisdom. Practical example. Imagine you see someone cheating on an exam. By applying the virtue of justice, you would feel compelled to report the cheating, even though there might be unpleasant consequences for you. By applying the virtue of courage, you would have the strength to do what is right, even though you might feel fear or discomfort. Chapter 5. Living a meaningful life. Stoicism isn't just a theoretical philosophy. It's a practical guide for living a good life. By understanding the dichotomy of control, mastering our perceptions, living in accordance with nature, and prioritizing virtue, we can cultivate a life of meaning, purpose, and tranquility. This chapter explores how these principles come together to create a fulfilling existence. Finding meaning and purpose. Stoicism teaches that meaning isn't found in external achievements or fleeting pleasures, but rather in living virtuously. This means striving to be wise, just, courageous, and temperate in all that we do. When we focus on developing our character and acting in accordance with our values, we naturally find a deeper sense of purpose. This purpose isn't necessarily about grand achievements or external recognition. It can be found in everyday actions, such as treating others with kindness, pursuing knowledge, overcoming challenges, and contributing to our communities. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts and actions, we can create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. Cultivating inner peace. A key aspect of a meaningful life in Stoicism is cultivating inner peace. This doesn't mean avoiding all negative emotions or living a life of constant bliss. Rather, it means developing the resilience to face challenges with equanimity and maintaining our composure in the face of adversity. By understanding the dichotomy of control, we can avoid becoming overly attached to things outside of our control. By mastering our perceptions, we can reduce the power of negative emotions. And by living in accordance with nature, we can find a sense of harmony and acceptance. These practices work together to create a state of inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. Living in the present moment. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment. Dwelling on the past or worrying about the future only creates unnecessary suffering. By focusing on what we can control right now, we can live more fully and meaningfully. This doesn't mean ignoring the past or failing to plan for the future. Rather, it means focusing our attention on the present moment and making the most of it. By appreciating the small joys in life, engaging fully in our work, and connecting with others in meaningful ways, we can create a life that is rich and rewarding. Connecting with others. As social beings, connecting with others is an essential part of a meaningful life. Stoicism encourages us to treat others with kindness, fairness, and compassion. By building strong relationships and contributing to our communities, we can create a sense of belonging and purpose. This also means recognizing our shared humanity and treating everyone with respect, even those who disagree with us or have wronged us. By practicing forgiveness and understanding, we can cultivate a more harmonious and compassionate society. Practical applications. Reflect on your values, identify your core values, and consider how you can live in accordance with them. Practice gratitude. Take time each day to appreciate the good things in your life. Focus on what you can control. Don't waste energy worrying about things you can't change. Engage in meaningful work. Find work that aligns with your values and allows you to contribute to something larger than yourself. Cultivate strong relationships. Invest time and effort in building and maintaining meaningful connections with others. Contribute to your community. Find ways to give back and make a positive impact on the world around you. Example: imagine you are facing a difficult challenge at work. By applying Stoic principles, you can focus on what you can control: your effort, your attitude, and your actions. You can approach the challenge with wisdom, courage, and temperance, and strive to find a solution that is fair and just for everyone involved. By focusing on these virtues, you can not only overcome the challenge, but also find a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment in your work. Chapter 6: Applying Stoicism in Modern Life. Stoicism, while originating in ancient Greece, offers profound wisdom that remains remarkably relevant to the challenges and complexities of modern life. This chapter explores how we can practically apply Stoic principles in our daily routines, relationships, work, and personal development. Stoicism in everyday life. Dealing with daily annoyances, Stoicism provides tools for handling everyday frustrations, such as traffic jams, delays, and difficult people. By reminding ourselves of the dichotomy of control, we can focus on our response to these situations rather than the situations themselves. We can choose to remain calm and composed rather than becoming angry or stressed. Managing stress and anxiety. Modern life is often filled with stress and anxiety. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote by encouraging us to focus on the present moment and accept what we cannot control. Practices like journaling, meditation, and reflecting on our values can help us cultivate inner peace and reduce anxiety. Making difficult decisions. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of reason and wisdom in decision-making. By carefully considering the facts, weighing the potential consequences, and focusing on what is virtuous, we can make sound decisions even in challenging circumstances. Practicing gratitude. Stoics recognize the importance of appreciating what we have. Cultivating a sense of gratitude for the good things in our lives, no matter how small, can enhance our overall well-being and contentment. Stoicism in relationships. Navigating conflicts. Stoicism encourages us to approach conflicts with reason and understanding. By seeking to understand the other person's perspective and focusing on finding a fair and just resolution, we can navigate disagreements more effectively. Dealing with difficult people. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control other people's actions, but we can control our response to them. By practicing empathy and forgiveness, we can maintain our composure even when dealing with difficult individuals. Building stronger relationships. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of treating others with kindness, fairness, and compassion. By focusing on these virtues, we can build stronger and more meaningful relationships. Stoicism at work. Dealing with workplace stress. Stoicism can help us manage workplace stress by encouraging us to focus on what we can control: our effort, our attitude, and our actions. Navigating difficult colleagues. Stoicism provides tools for dealing with difficult colleagues by encouraging us to practice empathy and focus on what is within our control. Finding meaning in work. Even if our work is not inherently fulfilling, Stoicism can help us find meaning by focusing on the virtues we can practice in our work, such as diligence, integrity, and service to others. Stoicism and personal growth. Overcoming challenges. Stoicism encourages us to view challenges as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. By facing difficulties with courage and resilience, we can become stronger and more resilient. Developing self-discipline. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-control and moderation. By practicing self-discipline, we can overcome bad habits, pursue our goals, and live a more virtuous life. Cultivating inner peace. Through practices like journaling, meditation, and reflection, we can cultivate inner peace and develop a greater understanding of ourselves. Example: imagine you receive negative feedback at work. Instead of becoming defensive or discouraged, you can use Stoic principles to approach the situation. You can focus on what you can control, your response to the feedback, and seek to understand the other person's perspective. You can then use the feedback as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. Chapter 7: Stoicism and the Pursuit of Tranquility. Tranquility, or ataraxia in Greek, is a central aim of Stoic philosophy. It's not about achieving a constant state of euphoria or avoiding all negative emotions. Rather, it's about cultivating inner peace and resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. This chapter explores how Stoicism guides us toward this state of tranquility. Understanding tranquility. Tranquility, in the Stoic context, is not the absence of disturbance, but rather the ability to maintain composure despite disturbance. It's about developing an inner fortress of calm that remains unshaken by external events. This inner peace comes from understanding what is within our control, our thoughts and actions, and what is not everything else. Key Stoic practices for cultivating tranquility. Dichotomy of control. This is the cornerstone of Stoic practice. By clearly distinguishing between what we can and cannot control, we avoid wasting energy on things that are beyond our influence. We focus our efforts on managing our thoughts, judgments, and actions, which are the only things truly within our power. This focus reduces anxiety and frustration. Negative visualization, premeditation of evils. This practice involves contemplating potential future misfortunes, not to dwell on negativity, but to prepare ourselves mentally for adversity. By considering what could go wrong, we lessen the emotional impact if it actually happens. This practice helps us to appreciate what we have in the present moment and reduces our fear of loss. Journaling and self-reflection. Regularly reflecting on our thoughts, actions, and judgments is crucial for self-improvement and cultivating tranquility. Journaling provides a space to examine our responses to events, identify areas where we can apply Stoic principles more effectively, and track our progress in developing virtue. Focusing on the present moment, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of living in the present. By focusing our attention on the present moment, we avoid the mental anguish of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. This practice helps us appreciate the small joys in life and find peace in the everyday. Amor fati, love of fate. This concept encourages us to accept and even embrace whatever life throws our way. By recognizing that everything happens for a reason within the larger order of the universe, we can find peace in accepting our circumstances, even the difficult ones. This doesn't mean passive resignation, but rather a willing acceptance of reality and a focus on how we can respond virtuously. Overcoming obstacles to tranquility. Negative emotions. Stoicism doesn't deny the existence of negative emotions, but it teaches us how to manage them effectively. By understanding that our emotions are often based on our judgments and perceptions, we can learn to challenge those judgments and reduce the power of negative emotions. External events. Stoicism reminds us that external events are indifferent. They are neither good nor bad in themselves. It is our judgments about these events that cause us suffering. By focusing on what is within our control, our response, we can maintain our tranquility regardless of external circumstances. Attachment to external things. Our attachment to external things, such as wealth, status, or reputation, can be a major source of anxiety and unhappiness. Stoicism encourages us to value virtue above all else and to recognize that external things are fleeting and impermanent. Example: imagine you lose your job. Instead of panicking or becoming overwhelmed by negative emotions, you can apply Stoic principles. You can acknowledge the situation, the loss of your job, recognize that it is outside of your direct control, and then focus on what is within your control. Your response: you can choose to approach the situation with courage, wisdom, and resilience, focusing on finding new opportunities and learning from the experience. This approach, rooted in Stoicism, allows you to maintain a sense of tranquility even in the face of significant adversity. Chapter 8: Living in the Present Moment. Much of our suffering arises from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Stoicism encourages us to focus on the present moment, to appreciate the here and now. By cultivating mindfulness and awareness, we can fully experience the richness and beauty of each moment. We can learn to appreciate the simple things in life, to find joy in the present, and to let go of unnecessary anxieties about the future. As Seneca wrote, "Every day is a lifetime." This perspective encourages us to make the most of each day, to live each moment with intention and purpose. Chapter 9: The Legacy of Stoicism. The principles of Stoicism have resonated with people for centuries, offering guidance and inspiration to countless individuals throughout history. From Roman emperors to modern-day leaders, many have found wisdom and strength in the teachings of Stoicism. Chapter 10: A Call to Action. We have explored the core principles of Stoicism, a philosophy that offers profound insights into the nature of control, the power of perception, and the pursuit of a meaningful life. We have seen how these principles can help us to manage our emotions, to overcome adversity, and to live in accordance with our human nature. Now, the choice is ours. We can choose to continue living at the mercy of our emotions and